The room had been loud only seconds earlier, filled with casual conversations and distracted laughter, but the moment you stepped inside, something shifted in a way almost impossible to explain. Across the crowd, one person noticed you instantly, and for a heartbeat, everything around them seemed to blur into silence. They had imagined this moment so many times that it no longer felt real, yet there you were, standing calmly with a confidence they had never seen before. What caught them off guard was not your appearance alone, but the quiet strength in the way you carried yourself. There was no need to impress anyone, no urgency to prove what you had survived, and somehow that made your presence unforgettable. They remembered the version of you that once searched for reassurance in every conversation, the person who carried uncertainty like extra weight on their shoulders. But now, you moved differently, with the kind of peace that only comes after enduring difficult seasons without losing yourself. Watching you from a distance felt emotional in ways they were unprepared for. Their hands tightened around a glass they barely realized they were holding, and 1,000 unfinished thoughts crowded their mind all at once. They had expected awkwardness, maybe even resentment, but instead they felt something softer and far more overwhelming. Relief. It was the relief of seeing someone they once cared about not only survive hard moments, but rise beyond them with grace, dignity, and a quiet sense of self-worth that no one in the room could ignore. They realized that every closed door, every unexpected detour, every heartbreak, was leading them right back to you. Meanwhile, you walked away unaware of the emotional earthquake you caused. You thought it was just another ordinary day, another regular moment, but to them, it felt like destiny returning with interest. They replayed your smile 1,000 times, overanalyzed your posture, your voice, your aura, searching for hidden meaning. That joy wasn't casual, it was overflowing, uncontrollable, the kind that only appears when someone sees the missing piece of their life standing in front of them. However, destiny never reveals everything at once, because this person carries a secret so heavy it once kept them away from you, a truth they feared would destroy everything. But seeing you now, strong, grounded, untouchable, made them believe you're finally ready to hear it. Their happiness wasn't just emotional, it was relief, because life had given them another chance they thought they'd lost forever. But here's the twist. They're not the only one preparing to return. Someone else, someone unexpected, felt your energy shift too. And this second person isn't overjoyed. They're threatened, terrified, desperate to keep you from reconnecting with the one who truly saw your soul. The universe has begun a silent battle over you, and you don't even know it's happening yet. Soon, paths will collide. Conversations will unfold. Truths will surface. And the person who was overjoyed to see you will step forward with a confession powerful enough to change not just your story, but your entire future. What shocked the universe next wasn't their joy. It was the way fate started rearranging itself around your existence. Phones began ringing, doors that were sealed years ago suddenly unlocked, and people who once underestimated you found themselves whispering your name with fear, respect, and curiosity. Your return didn't just affect one heart. It triggered a chain reaction that no one can stop now, not even destiny itself. At the same time, the overjoyed person couldn't hide their emotions anymore. Their friends saw the glow, the restlessness, the sudden urge to look presentable, the nervous excitement they couldn't disguise. They tried pretending nothing was happening, but joy this real refuses to sit quietly. Every heartbeat screamed your name, every thought led back to you, and every breath carried the same undeniable truth. They want you in their future. Yet beneath all that happiness lies a hidden layer of panic, because they know someone else, someone jealous, someone threatened, has now realized how important you are. This person is already plotting, already watching, already preparing to interfere before the truth reaches you. They've seen the spark, and they're terrified it will turn into a wildfire they can't control. Meanwhile, you continue moving with calm grace, unaware that two timelines are fighting for you. Your silence is powerful, your presence intimidating, and your growth undeniable. But soon, you'll be forced to choose which story becomes your destiny. One path leads to love, alignment, and long-awaited closure. The other leads to chaos, confusion, and someone desperately trying to rewrite your fate. And here's the most electrifying part. Within the next few moments, a message, a call, or an unexpected encounter will reveal exactly who was overjoyed to see you, and why they believe losing you again is no longer an option. Little did you know, the moment you walked away, they stood there frozen, trying to memorize every detail before reality pulled you out of sight again. Their soul danced between disbelief and gratitude, replaying that sacred moment like a secret blessing sent directly from the universe. They didn't smile out of politeness. They smiled because your existence reignited a part of them they thought was dead forever. Happiness this raw cannot be manufactured. It can only be felt when destiny finally returns what life once stole. For the first time in years, they felt alive, purposeful, terrified, and hopeful all at once. Their heartbeat wasn't just loud, it was prophetic, warning them that if they don't act now, the universe might close this door again. They know your story has changed, your standards have risen, and access to you is now earned, not given. That joy they felt wasn't casual. It was a realization that they've been waiting for you longer than they ever admitted. Behind closed doors, someone confronted them about that reaction, demanding answers they weren't ready to reveal. The glow on their face, the sudden silence, the distant smile, it exposed everything they tried to hide. Now eyes are watching, questions are brewing, and curiosity is spreading faster than truth can keep up. Your presence didn't just touch a heart, it exposed a connection powerful enough to shake multiple lives. Even destiny seems impatient, pushing signs, coincidences, and reminders directly into their path. Your name appears in conversations, songs, dreams, and unexpected places, as if the universe refuses to let them forget. They're realizing this isn't nostalgia, fantasy, or coincidence. This is alignment, timing, and unfinished fate demanding completion. And deep down, they know they can't stay silent much longer. And now, a message is forming. One they've drafted, deleted, rewritten, and feared sending. Because once it reaches you, everything changes. The past gains meaning, the present becomes electric, and the future starts moving toward you at unstoppable speed. The world has no idea what's coming, but you're about to find out exactly who was overjoyed to see you, and why destiny refuses to let them lose you again. What they haven't told anyone, not even themselves, is that your presence unlocked a memory they buried long ago. After that encounter, life around them began shifting in ways they could not easily explain. Plans that once felt important suddenly lost meaning. Conversations became harder to focus on, and routines that once kept them grounded no longer brought the same sense of certainty. It was as if the world around them had quietly started rearranging itself, clearing space for thoughts and feelings they had spent years trying to organize into neat categories. They attempted to dismiss it as coincidence at first, convincing themselves they were simply overwhelmed by nostalgia, but the feeling continued, following them into ordinary moments. A song playing in a cafe, a familiar phrase in a stranger's conversation, even stretches of silence during late evenings somehow carried reminders of you. What unsettled them most was how natural it all felt. There was no chaos in it, no dramatic obsession, only a steady pull toward a truth they had avoided acknowledging for far too long. Deep down, they knew their happiness wasn't coming from the surprise of seeing you again. It came from realizing they no longer needed to hide from what your connection meant to them. At the same time, Someone else close to them began noticing subtle changes they could not disguise. A delayed response during conversations, moments of distant reflection, a softness returning to their expression whenever your name surfaced unexpectedly. Those small shifts created quiet tension behind closed doors. Questions began forming, without direct accusations, and uncertainty slowly turned into fear. Without intending to, your reappearance had awakened emotions powerful enough to ripple through lives far beyond your own awareness. The other is driven by insecurity, possession, and the desperate need to hold on to something already slipping away. You didn't choose this battle, but your evolution triggered it, and now the universe is waiting to see which path you'll claim. And soon, sooner than you expect, a familiar name, face, place, or unexpected coincidence will reveal the identity of the one who was overjoyed to see you. Not because they want attention, validation, or closure, but because they finally realized that losing you again would be the greatest tragedy of their lifetime. What fate orchestrated next felt almost supernatural, because just when they convinced themselves to stay silent, something appeared that shattered their restraint. A photo, a message, a memory, a location, something so specific to the two of you that their heart nearly stopped. It felt like the universe didn't just open the door, it dragged them toward it, reminding them that destiny becomes aggressive when ignored. Their joy transformed into urgency, the kind that refuses to let another lifetime pass without action. That entire night, they didn't sleep. They paced floors, stared at ceilings, rehearsed conversations, questioned destiny, and still landed on the same undeniable truth. You are the person their soul recognizes even without introduction. They tried rationalizing it, blaming nostalgia, timing, coincidence, but nothing explained the way their heart reacted when they saw you. That joy wasn't emotional. It was cellular, spiritual, written into their existence long before either of you understood why. Meanwhile, whispers have already begun. People around them noticed the shift, the softened tone, the unprovoked smiles, the sudden motivation to change, improve, evolve. They're cleaning up their life, cutting off distractions, shutting down past patterns, not because they're chasing you, but because seeing you reminded them of who they always wanted to become. Your presence didn't just make them happy, it awakened a version of themselves they thought they'd lost forever. But destiny loves drama, and someone else has now stepped into the storyline. A person who refuses to accept that joy like this belongs to you. They're preparing to interfere, to confuse, to pull them backward into cycles that were never meant to survive. This individual doesn't celebrate their happiness. Instead, they fear what reconnecting with you will expose. And now, unseen battles are already unfolding behind your back. Very soon, the truth will present itself without warning. A sudden encounter, a slip of the tongue, an emotional confession, something unstoppable, will reveal exactly who was overjoyed to see you. And when that moment arrives, everything you thought was finished, forgotten, or impossible, will come rushing back, with a force strong enough to rewrite your entire destiny. What destiny delivered next didn't arrive gently, because out of nowhere, their name appeared on your screen, glowing like a sign you couldn't ignore. It wasn't a message, not yet, just a notification, indicating they were suddenly looking at your profile, your story, your picture, and in that moment, time slowed, energy shifted, and your intuition whispered, someone has been waiting for this. Their joy spilled into action, even if they're pretending it was accidental. But the real plot twist is that they weren't alone when it happened. Someone standing beside them witnessed the spark in their eyes, the sudden stillness in their breath, the emotional storm they failed to hide. That silent observer now knows the truth. Your name has power, your presence leaves marks, and your absence never erased anything. And from that moment, the dynamics around them began changing in ways you'll soon feel. Their happiness didn't fade after seeing you. It intensified, matured, turned into clarity. They started questioning every choice that kept them away from you, every fear that made them silent, every excuse that delayed destiny. They realized joy, that deep isn't coincidence, it's direction. And suddenly, the life they built without you began feeling small, temporary, incomplete. Overjoyed didn't even scratch the surface. They felt chosen, guided, divinely redirected. Meanwhile, the forces working against this reunion are becoming restless. Someone who, afterward, life didn't suddenly transform. But the atmosphere around both of you began to feel slightly different, as if something unspoken had shifted the way you moved through familiar spaces. You returned to routines, conversations, and responsibilities, yet small moments kept pulling your attention back to that brief encounter. It wasn't obsession or distraction, more like a quiet awareness that something unfinished had resurfaced. People close to them noticed subtle changes first, a more thoughtful silence in pauses, an occasional smile that arrived without explanation, a hesitancy replaced by a calmer confidence when your name appeared in conversation. Instead of hiding behind confusion or assumptions, there was a growing sense of honesty forming internally, even if neither of you had put it into words yet. The idea of competition or comparison faded into the background, replaced by something simpler and more human, curiosity about what the connection actually meant in real terms. Meanwhile, someone who had once felt uneasy about your closeness to them didn't spiral or act out, but instead stepped back and reflected on their own assumptions, realizing how easily perspective can distort understanding when emotions are involved. Nothing dramatic followed. No confrontations, no declarations, just a slow recalibration of how everyone involved viewed the situation. What remained was a quiet tension, not uncomfortable, but unresolved, like a question waiting for the right moment to be asked clearly. And in that space, both of you began to recognize that clarity wouldn't come from signs or coincidence, but from an honest conversation, when you were both ready to have it without pressure, just understanding and patience between you. They're digging, questioning, manipulating, searching for anything that could pull this connection apart before it fully forms. But destiny isn't interested in interference, because joy this powerful wasn't built on convenience, it was built on fate. And here's where the story tilts. Your intuition has started waking up too. You're catching subtle signs, feeling unexplained emotions, sensing a presence watching over you with affection instead of expectation. You don't know who it is yet, but your soul recognizes the pull, the shift, the urgency in the air. Something inside you knows that someone out there is preparing to step into your life with truth instead of hesitation. Very soon, the universe will remove every mask, distraction, and obstacle. A face will appear, a voice will speak, a moment will unfold, and you'll finally understand why someone was overjoyed to see you. Not because of who you were, but because of who you've become, and who you were always meant to be in their story. Everything changed the moment fate forced them to stop running, because instead of burying their feelings like before, they finally sat with the truth, trembling, overwhelmed, and unbelievably certain. They replayed that first moment they saw you again, realizing it wasn't just joy, it was destiny refusing to be ignored. Their heart didn't celebrate your presence, it recognized its home. Now, every step they take feels guided, every decision feels intentional, and every hesitation has disappeared like it never existed. They're no longer questioning if they should come forward, they're wondering how they ever lived without trying. The joy they felt didn't fade with time, it evolved into determination. But the universe isn't done testing this connection. because the jealous observer has now crossed a silent boundary. They've begun asking questions, making assumptions, stirring shadows in hopes of blocking what destiny already approved. Their fear is loud, messy, desperate, exposing truths they tried so hard to hide. Meanwhile, your life is shifting in ways you haven't connected yet. Unexpected opportunities, sudden clarity, emotional calm that doesn't make sense. Your spirit feels lighter, your intuition feels louder, as if preparing you for a revelation that will rewrite everything you thought was final. You're not waiting, you're aligning without realizing it. And very soon, a moment will arrive so precise, so divinely timed, that every scattered piece will fall into place, revealing exactly who was overjoyed to see you, why destiny protected this connection, and how your story was always meant to circle back to this breathless, undeniable beginning. The universe has already begun, revealing what humans try so hard to hide, because the person who was overjoyed to see you can no longer contain the emotions that have been silently erupting inside them. They've reached a breaking point, not from pain, but from overwhelming realization. Every sign, every coincidence, every unexpected alignment keeps repeating the same message. Losing you again is not an option destiny will allow. They've started preparing their life for your arrival without even telling you, clearing space emotionally, mentally, spiritually, removing people, habits, fears that once stood between you and them. Their joy didn't just spark a desire to reconnect, it awakened the courage they never had. And now, they're becoming someone who doesn't just admire you from a distance, but someone ready to stand beside you. But while destiny moves with grace, resistance moves with desperation. The jealous observer is unraveling, scrambling to hold on to a story that was never theirs. They've sensed the shift, the glow, the quiet certainty forming in the air. They know something life-changing is approaching, and they're terrified, because deep down, they can feel you are the ending and beginning of everything. Meanwhile, a calm has settled inside you that you can't logically explain. You're not chasing, searching, or questioning, you're simply existing, with an inner knowing that something powerful is on its way. Your soul feels watched over, chosen, remembered. Somewhere beneath all the waiting, the unanswered questions, and the quiet nights where nothing seemed to move forward, something has already been unfolding in your favor. You may not see it yet, but every moment that felt delayed was shaping you for a conversation that was never meant to happen too soon. Life has a strange way of preparing people separately before finally allowing their paths to cross at the exact right time. And soon, the silence that has stretched between you and the person carrying all this unspoken happiness will finally give way. It may arrive unexpectedly through a message, a chance meeting, a lingering glance, or a confession that has been held back for far too long. But when it happens, it will feel familiar, almost like something your heart recognized long before your mind could explain it. Suddenly, the distance will no longer feel pointless. The heartbreaks that once drained you, the lessons that forced you to grow, and the moments you questioned your own worth will begin to connect like pieces of a story you were never seeing from the full angle. What once looked like rejection may reveal itself as redirection. What felt like silence may have actually been timing at work, because a joy that powerful was never designed to disappear forever or remain hidden in the background of your life. It was always moving toward you, even during the seasons when everything felt still. And when it finally reaches you, it will not feel accidental. It will feel earned, understood, and deeply real.